Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of my National Football League predictions. So this is for the weekend of Saturday the 5th and Sunday the 6th of February. So let's jump right in. Okay, so up first we have Kerry and Dublin in Round 1. Now, Dublin lost last weekend. Kerry got a draw. So, assuming they go in with more or less the same teams, I think I'm going to go with Kerry to win this one. Not by as much as Armagh did, maybe, but I think close enough. I think I'm going to give it to Kerry by 3 points in the end. Armagh won by 5 points, but I think Dublin might try to correct whatever went wrong, so they'll probably go a bit harder on Kerry. So Kerry to win by 3 points. Okay, so next up we have Down versus Galway in Round 2. I think they had pretty similar. I actually forgot the results already from last week for this game. I think Dublin was such a shock. Oh yeah, Galway absolutely destroyed Meath. And I cannot remember how Down got on. Down got destroyed. Okay, so it's not looking good for Down in this match, but it is looking very good for Galway. So I am going to say Galway to win by 6 points. I think based on how Galway got on against Meath and how Down got on in their last match, I think it's safe to say Galway are going to win this and win it pretty well. So Galway by 6 points. Okay, so next up we have Cork versus Clare in Round 2 again. I believe both teams won, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me just check the results here. Okay, Clare won and Cork lost. So that's putting it in Clare's favour a bit. And I think I am actually going to go with Clare for this then, based on that. And I'm going to give it to Clare by 4 points. I think that's a fair assumption of how it's going to go. So Clare by 4 points. Okay, next up is our final game on the Saturday. It is Antrim versus Limerick. Limerick had a good win. And Antrim... How did Antrim get on? Antrim also had a win. So a win for both of them, which will make this a pretty close one. But I think Limerick are going to win it. I don't think by much. I think Limerick are only going to do it by 2 points. I can see the two of them going at it pretty hard. So Limerick to win by 2 points. Okay, so our first game of the Sunday fixtures is Armagh versus Tyrone. Another two teams who had a decent enough first weekend. Armagh's much better than Tyrone's though. Tyrone only managed to survive with a draw, but Armagh 5 points against Dublin in any of the competitions in the football is a good win. But I think Tyrone will try to correct their mistake. So I think this one could actually end up being a draw. I think both teams can manage to hold out against each other. So I think I'm going to try and predict the score on the dot. Being 12 points each. So a draw with both teams scoring 12 points each. That's the way I'm going to go with it. Okay, so next up we have Monaghan v Mayo. Both teams drew last week, so this is going to be another fairly close one. But I think this one might actually have a winner. And I think it's going to be Mayo by 2 points. I think, I think Mayo might just come out a little bit stronger on the day. So Mayo to win by 2 points. So our next game is Donegal versus Kildare. Both teams drew last week, so it's hard to say, but I think Donegal will come out the winner on this one. I think Kildare more or less got lucky against Kerry, whereas Donegal had a much harder team in Mayo to prevent them from winning. So I'm going to say Donegal by 3 points. I think that's a fair guess. It could be more, but I'm going to go with 3 points. I think that's the safest score to go with. So next up we have Offaly versus Derry. Derry won last week and Offaly lost. So the advantage is definitely going to Derry. And I think also I'm going to give them the win. And by how much I'm not 100% sure. I think a safe one to go with would be by 4 points. Because Derry had a decent enough win and Offaly had an unfortunately hard loss. So I think Derry to win by 4 points. So next up we have Meath versus Roscommon. Meath had a very bad loss last week, and Roscommon had a decent enough win. But I think Meath will come back stronger this week. I think they'll fix their mistake from last week and they'll come back stronger. I don't think they'll win by too much, because obviously the morale is going to be down, and it might not motivate him to score too much. But I think they can do it. I think they can do it by 2 points. So yeah, that's my prediction. Meath to win by 2 points. Okay, so next up we have a Rowan Tree clash between Longford and Louth, and I actually forgot to say for the Offaly and Meath games that those were Rowan 2, in case anyone thought they were Rowan 1. But yeah, this is Rowan Tree. Longford v Louth. Longford had a loss, and I think Louth did as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me just check. Yeah, Louth had a loss. So both teams lost. So it's hard to say. I think Longford did a bit better though. So I think I'm going to give it to that, but I'm not going to give. I'm going to say by 1 point. I just got to say Longford by 1 point. I think that's a nice way to meet in the middle a bit. So Longford by 1 point. Okay, so next up we have Laois versus West. What did I just say? Laois versus Westmeath. Both teams won last weekend. But I think Laois had a bit of a better win. So I'm going to say Laois to win it, and Laois to win by 3 points. So yeah, so that's my guess. Laois by 3 points. Okay, so our next Rowan Tree clash is between Wicklow and Fermanagh. So Wicklow lost last week and Fermanagh won, I believe. Wasn't it? Or did I read that wrong? I think I read it wrong. No, both teams lost. Both teams lost. So, but I think I'm going to go with Wicklow because they had less of a loss. It was only about 1 point in the, or no, 5 points in the end actually. But Fermanagh's was a bigger gap. So I think Wicklow by 2 points. I think that's a fair guess to make. So Wicklow to beat Fermanagh by 2 points. So next up in round 4, we have Sligo versus Carlow. So Sligo had a good win against Wexford last week, and Carlow unfortunately lost to London. So the advantage is at Sligo, and I think they're going to keep that advantage, and I think they're going to win by the same amount as last week. They're going to beat Carlow by 2 points. I think they're going for it that little bit more. So Sligo to win by 2 points. So our next game is London v Waterford, and I'm in Croke Park for this one because I don't have London's grounds built. So London managed to beat Carlow last week, and Waterford drew with Tipperary. But I think Waterford will actually be. I think Waterford are better than Carlow, so I think they're going to have the win in this, and I'm going to say Waterford are going to win by 3 points. I think Waterford are definitely better than Carlow, so London probably won't be able to manage this one. So Waterford to win by 3 points. Okay, so our next round 4 clash is between Tipperary and Leitrim. Leitrim lost last week and Tipperary drew. I think Tipperary are the better team. I think they can do it. And I think they're going to do it decently enough. So I think I'm going to give it to them as a 3-point victory. So Tipperary to win by 3 points. Okay, so our final game of the weekend is Cavan v Wexford. Wexford unfortunately lost to Sligo, but Cavan beat Leitrim. So I think I'm going to give the advantage to Cavan, and I think they're going to get a bigger win on Wexford than Sligo. So I'm actually going to say Cavan by 4 points. I think Cavan are just that bit stronger than Wexford, so Cavan to win by 4 points. So those are my predictions for the weekend's fixtures, and going up hopefully today, just after this one, or maybe tomorrow, I will have the hurling fixtures as well. Those will probably be a bit easier for me to predict because I'm a bigger fan of hurling than I am of football. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.